Chapter 23: The Static Giant Beast and the Crisis. As the light gradually dissipated, a circular space appeared before Sumu. In the center of the space, a huge spiritual beast stood still, maintaining an attacking stance. Its body was as massive as a mountain, exuding a daunting aura. Even in a static state, the powerful oppressive feelings still rushed towards Sumu, making his heart pound rapidly. This spiritual beast resembled a qilin, but black flames coiled around its body. The flames remained static on its surface, as if time had stood still. Its eyes were wide open, revealing endless ferocity. Its four limbs were powerfully planted on the ground, and its claws were deeply embedded in the rocks of the ground. Sumu approached the giant beast cautiously. Aware of its danger, he took each step with extreme care. As he got closer, he noticed that although the black flames on the giant beast seemed static, they contained wild and violent power, as if they could erupt at any moment. Just as Sumu was only a few steps away from the giant beast, an accident occurred. He accidentally stepped on a loose stone, and the sound of the rolling stone was particularly loud in the quiet space. This slight noise actually triggered the residual spiritual power within the giant beast. The black flames on the giant beast suddenly flickered, and a black spiritual power beam shot out from its mouth, directly aiming at Sumu. Sumu was greatly alarmed and quickly activated his spiritual power shield to resist. The spiritual power beam hit the shield, making a deafening noise. The shield shook violently, and Sumu felt a numbness in his arms, and his feet involuntarily slid backwards several meters.
紧接着, the giant beast's body began to tremble slightly. Its four limbs slowly lifted, and its originally static body actually started to move. Sumo realized that the situation was not good. Once this giant beast fully awakened, it would be very difficult for him to resist. The giant beast opened its huge mouth and let out an earth-shattering roar. This roar broke the silence of the space, and the surrounding air vibrated. Sumu's were left buzzing. After the roar, the giant beast pounced towards Sumu at a speed so fast that Sumu could barely react. Sumu quickly sidestepped, and the giant beast's claws grazed his body, leaving several deep trenches on the ground. Sumu knew that he couldn't fight the giant beast head-on, so he began to use the surrounding environment to dodge. There were some huge stone pillars in this circular space, and Sumu nimbly shuttled among the stone pillars, trying to disrupt the giant beast's movements. The giant beast seemed to be enraged by Sumu's actions. It kept waving its claws, smashing the surrounding stone pillars to pieces. Flying rocks were everywhere, and Sumu had to be constantly vigilant to avoid being hit. While evading the giant beast's attacks, Sumu noticed that every time the giant beast turned around to attack, there would be a brief pause. His heart stirred, realizing that this might be his chance to counter-attack. Sumo concentrated, waiting for the giant beast to turn around again. The moment the giant beast paused while turning around, Sumo quickly emerged from behind the stone pillar, gathered all the spiritual power in his body onto the long sword, and stabbed hard at the giant beast's leg. The long sword pierced the giant beast's leg, and a powerful force of counter-shock came back. Sumo's arm almost lost consciousness. The giant beast let out a roar of pain. It suddenly shook its body, throwing Sumu out. Sumu fell heavily to the ground, but he ignored the pain in his body and immediately stood up, ready to face the giant beast's attack again. Angry flames flickered in the giant beast's eyes. It stared at Sumu, as if brewing a more violent attack. Suddenly, the black flames around the giant beast became even more intense, and its body began to expand. A more powerful spiritual power fluctuation emanated from it. Sumu's heart tightened. He knew that the giant beast was about to launch a stronger attack. Just then, Sumu suddenly noticed a glowing object at the giant beast's feet. Although the light was faint, it was particularly conspicuous in his tense atmosphere. An idea occurred to him. He guessed that this glowing object might be the key to subduing the giant beast, or a clue to leaving this space. However, at this moment, the giant beast had already launched its attack. A huge black flame pillar spurted out from the giant beast's mouth, sweeping towards Sumu. Where the flame pillar passed, the air seemed to be ignited, and the temperature rose sharply. Sumu did not back down. He gritted his teeth, mobilized all the spiritual power in his body, and formed a spiritual power barrier in front of him. The flame pillar hit the spiritual power barrier, making a hissing sound. Cracks began to appear in the spiritual power barrier, and Sumu could feel his spiritual power being rapidly consumed. Under the attack of the flame pillar, Sumu struggled to approach the glowing object at the giant beast's feet. Every step forward required him to endure great pressure, but the belief in his heart sustained him. Finally, just as the spiritual power barrier was about to shatter, Sumu reached the giant beast's feet and stretched out his hand to grab the glowing object.